Alright, welcome back. Dave here with Cracking Code, and today we're going to talk about saving data, specifically to the user defaults. So there's, in iOS, in app development, there's a lot of different places you can save data. One of those places is user defaults. User defaults is usually, you only want to use it for small little things of data, small little tidbits of data, like user preferences, like strings, bools, just really simple stuff, nothing big. You might use it for a simple array or a dictionary, but it's kind of it doesn't necessarily have limited space. However, it's very taxing on the system. So if you're trying to store large bits of data, your app could freeze, slow down, drain the battery if you're accessing and saving data quite a bit. So again, it's just for preferences or small little bits of code. If you want to save bigger objects, then there's different places to do that. There's a lot of different places. Core data is probably what you're looking at, and or you can also look up something like what's it called? Darn it, I can't think of the name right now. Typically, you just look up core data, Swift, and I'll do a video on that as well. But for this tutorial, we just want to look at defaults. First thing to do is to import Foundation, and we're right inside of Swift Playgrounds right now. So, sorry, it's a little early, guys. Importing Foundation brings in this thing called user defaults. So let's make the defaults path equal user defaults dot standard. Let's see what type it is. I'm kind of curious. The type is user defaults. Okay, interesting. All right, so this is then the location for saving data to the user defaults. So saving data to the user defaults is pretty simple. Just defaults, because we've already defined it up there, dot set. And I'm going to set like 2 for key free attempts. Done. So now it's saved the number 2 for free attempts. Like, let's say my app has 3 free attempts and then you have to buy it. Well, there you go. I've saved it. Now how do we load that back? How do we look at that? Pretty easy. We just go defaults dot, and now you have to say what type it is. Integer for key, and the key is listed above there as free attempts. And there it is too. So I could do let attempts equal, and then I could print attempts if I wanted to. See, 2 attempts saved to the device. Simple, huh? So they said saving and loading was difficult, but not when it's something like simple. Not when it's a little bit of data here or there. Like you might have a bool. So let's do defaults dot set false for what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to do showed. What's the word I'm looking for? Showed. I'll just put showed pop-up. Like maybe you've got a pop-up you want to show, and you don't want to show it to them again and again and again. You only want to show it to them once. So then you can just check to see. Yeah, you can even do if. Let's do an if statement. If, and then I'm going to do defaults dot bool for key showed pop-up. I have different computers with different size keyboards. So sometimes when I go to type, it doesn't all match up. Okay, so show the pop-up. So after we've shown the pop-up, then we want to set, we're going to do this again, basically, right? Defaults set true. Show the pop-up. We're setting it as true. And then the next time it loads, it should not show the pop-up. Swift is kind of weird in that, or Playgrounds is weird in that it's continually looping again and again and again. So up here it's setting it to false, then we're setting it to true, so it's never going to quite get to this location. If we comment this out, then maybe it will. See, don't show. Now it's shown it really quick there, and then it's set it to don't show again. So up here we'll set it again. Okay, so are you following this? This is for simple things like ints, bools, strings. You can do stuff like that. If you want to do an array, let me show you. Now, it's a little more taxing to do arrays, but not too big of a deal. It probably won't have any problems, but just thought I'd warn you. String. So now I've got an array of strings. See? And then if I want to save that array, let's say defaults.set, and now we want to just set the array that we created for key, and I'll just call it array. So now we've stored an object. We didn't specify it as it's not an int or a bool. So when we get that information back out, it's a little bit trickier. So because we have to check to see if the object exists. A couple different ways to do that. Let's just do it one line of code. So if let's load the array, and it's in the defaults dot object. Oh, you may notice I have a new microphone. If it sounds a little better, then that's why. Okay. So it's not really yelling at me yet. Yeah. Once you start trying to use it, it's like, that could be true or it could not be true. You might need to cast it as something. So I'm going to do as, and then it's an array of strings. Now that it's optional, we might want to put a stored value in just in case. So we're going to check to see if the array exists, and I'm going to put question mark, and that's like basically like, or let's just create an empty string. Now it's cool. So let's look at this code again. So we're making this new thing called array loaded, and we're going into the defaults, and we're saying it's an object now. For key array, and then as a string, as an array of strings, or let's just create a blank, an empty array of strings. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to copy this code and I'll share it with you. But this is a good way, and there'll be a link in the video description. This is a good way to save little bits of data, and you can do this for your apps. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. And thanks for tuning in to Cracking Code with Dave. Oh, and my next video will be persisting data using the different way. And it's going to be covering the chapter 4.7 in app development with Swift. So if you're following along from class, then the next video should help you out.